Hello and welcome to another edition of the Cougar Close Up on Shaw TV. This week, an extended episode where we feature an interview with both assistant coaches for the Prince George Cougars, Associate Coach Steve O'Rourke and Assistant Coach Sean Chambers. We'll get a glimpse of life behind the scenes with the Prince George Cougars, all of that and much more with Sean Chambers and Steve O'Rourke on the Cougar Close Up on Shaw TV. Well, what a season it has been for the Prince George Cougars and a whirlwind handful of months for Prince George Cougars assistant coach Sean Chambers. And Sean, I want to go back to the very beginning because your story with how you became associated with Prince George Cougars is a bit of an interesting one. Steve O'Rourke runs into a health concern early in the preseason. All of a sudden, you're sitting in Minnesota, minding your own business, your phone rings. Tell us a little bit about it and ultimately how you came to be here in Prince George.
Well, it was Labor Day weekend, and I'm sitting there with my family. My son was there, his fiance, my daughter, and my wife, and Maddie texts me, he goes, "I need you now as a coach." And I text him back, I go, "Well, if you'd have texted me in July when I texted you, I could have been here." And he goes, "No, I lost a guy and I lost another guy who quit." So we got back and forth, and I go, "Well, I don't know." He goes, "I want you tomorrow." I said, "There's no way I'm leaving tomorrow. I can't get there." And they were in Banff at that time. And I was talking it over with my kids and like, "You should do it, Dad. You should do it." Like everybody in the house said, "Dad, go do it." And I'm like, "Really? Like you guys want me out of the house that bad?" So it was kind of a whirlwind. Like we were talking Saturday, he called me Sunday. You know, we got everything taken care of, and I was on a plane Monday morning to Banff. So it was pretty interesting, couple like 48 hours worth.
You're a two-time Stanley Cup winner, and you have played for some of the very best coaches who have ever coached in this great game. For yourself, was coaching always something in the back of your mind that you thought would be a good fit for you once you retired from playing?
You know, I wasn't really, actively looking to do it, but as soon as I got out, I went, my kids started playing hockey in Minnesota. I moved back to Minnesota, and the first year I was there, I was watching people do it, and I'm like, oh, I have to go coach now because the people that were coaching my kids were not very good. So like, okay, so I got into it, started with the squirt level, and I moved up with my kids all the way up to, I did high school for 6 years. I did some juniors for 3 years before I got to here. And actually, this was the first year that I wasn't going to coach because I was going to get my knee replaced because it's so bad. And I told him that when I first got here. I go, "Maddie, I can hardly skate. I need a new knee." And he goes, "That's okay. I need you anyway." So that's part of how that happened.
As we're having this conversation today, Sean, the Prince George Cougars are tops in the WHL, tops in the division, tops in the Western Conference. I know the expectations for this team were big heading into this season, but could you and the coaches have forecasted this type of success?
With Maddie's system, I mean, it's a speed game, and we're going, and like when I'd never seen Maddie coach before I got here, so it was kind of interesting, and I liked it right away when I got here and for the training camp part of it. And it's a good system, and if the kids buy into it, which they have for the most part, this last 5 games have been interesting for us to win, but the system itself, it's fairly simple if they can do the right things, and we are a talented group of guys. So. And, Eddie's been awesome in net for us. So it's kind of like everything's kind of went hand in hand, and it's been that good net positive. And, there's a lot of good things going on in that locker room right now.
Once the trade deadline comes and goes, it's probably an interesting feeling for a player, even for a coach. But I mean, go back to when you played the game, Sean. Once the trade deadline comes and goes, is it a little more relaxed? Is it a little bit easier knowing that the guy beside you is the guy that you're going to be going to war with, and there's no real possibility of any major changes henceforth?
Yeah, I mean, I was only part of one trade deadline. That was when I went from Tampa to New Jersey, and I actually won a cup that year. So that was actually a good trade deadline for me. But, I think there's, these guys are young kids. They're 16 to 20 years old. So I think there was, we had some turnover early. We got Gooley early. So it was kind of, they know we're making a push for this. So everybody, guy in that locker room was worried about getting traded because we're trying to win right now. And so I think there's relief, and I think that's partly what got into our game for not doing the right things for a little while because they're relaxed now, they're comfortable, and we got to get them out of that comfort zone again and get back to playing our Prince George hockey.
The month of January is a difficult one with a ton of travel, a lot of games on the road, and yet, despite some third period deficits and some circumstances, the Cougars continue to win. And I guess as a coaching staff, you're encouraged by the fact that when you face adversity, you're able to find a way on most nights. A bit of a curse and a blessing, I'm sure, but nevertheless, a win is a win, right?
Yeah, like we keep going in there and saying, we can't keep winning like this, guys, but we keep doing it. But we want to see a 60-minute hockey game. That's what we want. We want the guys to play the right way for 60. We keep playing for 10 here, then we take off 30 minutes, and we play 20 hard. So we're getting about 30 to 40 minutes of decent hockey and 20 minutes of really bad hockey, and we've got to get out of that habit and start. It's getting down to where the teams we're playing, we're going to see these guys in the playoffs.
Just talk about what are going to be some of the specific keys for the Prince George Cougars down the stretch as the regular season winds down and as you pursue that division championship.
For us, we're going to do a lot more video and showing the guys, what these guys' tendencies are, because we might see these guys, we might see Kamloops in the first round. Who knows where they're going to end up. So we're just focusing on ourselves. How are we going to fix our problems, our D-zone coverage problems right now? We have to figure that out right now. And when we do that and these guys see it and then we get to work on it, we'll be a better hockey team.
The players love you. The staff loves you. We love having you here, Sean. Thank you very much for taking the time, and all the best to you and the Cougars down the stretch.
Thanks, Dano.
Joined right now by Prince George Cougars associate coach Steve O'Rourke. And Steve, the season up to this point has been a raging success for the Prince George Cougars in all sorts of different areas. But let's go back to the summer. You had just wrapped up your third season with the Red Deer Rebels. You weren't planning on coaching in 2016-17. All of a sudden, your phone rings, and it's the Prince George Cougars. Tell us about that conversation and what it was about this opportunity that made it so enticing for you.
Well, like you said, I was in Red Deer for 3 years. We had a great run there, and I had some family issues to deal with some cancer in the family, and decided I was going to take the year off and go home and just be as a family. And that member passed away sooner than we thought. And I got a call from Todd and saying that they're making a change here and going with Richard Mavichuk, and would you be interested in having a conversation with them? And that conversation led to a hiring, and we obviously hit it off. And I liked Matty's philosophies, he liked mine, and here we are today, working together for the first year here.
There were big expectations coming into this season. I think everybody who looked at the Prince George Cougars thought that they saw a team that could contend for a championship. But as we stand here today, 33-12-2, tops in the WHL, was this type of success forecasted for this group?
Well, that's one of the conversations I had with Richard was, what do you think of this hockey club? And I had a pretty good idea. We'd played them back-to-back at the end of the year. I knew the pieces they had here. They were going to be an older club. I think he liked the fact that I was telling, hey, you got a good hockey club here. Whether I work for you or not, you got a good hockey club. And that was one of the things that kind of pushed it, and him knowing that I knew the league and whatnot here. And we have been. The guys have done a great job with that 8-0 start. We just stayed steady from that point on, and we've had a couple good runs. I think the worst we've had is back-to-back losses. We've never had more than that. That's a sign of a good hockey team that's going in the right direction.
The Cougars have made some really key additions this season, starting back in November with Brendan Gooley. You work with the defense on a daily basis, Steve. Can you just speak to the addition of Gooley and kind of what that has meant, I think, for the overall confidence of this team defensively?
Yeah, for sure. Last year we're in Red Deer going through that, and I'm asking, get me that 50-goal scorer, and here now working with the defense, you're going like, get me this Brendan Gooley. Like his name came up, and it's like, let's get this kid, right? And he's been fantastic. His ability to skate, handle the puck, and control a game is really second to none in the league. He might not put up the same amount of points, but he can play at both ends. He can control the game. He's great on the power play, great on the penalty kill, and he just added even more depth to a very good back end that I think was very comparable to ours in Red Deer, which I thought was maybe the best in the league last year. And I think for us, the combination we have is tremendous here. We can address any number of combinations that are successful every night.
Can you just speak to the dressing room and how the mindset shifts once the trade deadline comes and goes, and almost maybe more of a relaxed demeanor for everybody once that big day, January 10th, is out of the picture?
Yeah, going through it for the last few years, and the closer you are to contending, the harder it is, because the kids, they want to be here. They want to be in this dressing room and win a championship, and you do at times have to sacrifice some good people to maybe improve in a different area. And you could see with our Red Deer game that we played, the relief, you could see both clubs were not good that night. It was too bad it was a Shaw game because it was not a good hockey game. But that was that relief. The guys, hey, we're here, and it's just like, oh, we can breathe. But we forgot to play the game. And that you can just see that the intensity and the emotion that it takes on a toll on 16 to 20-year-olds that they're not sure where they're going to be. And that is the tough part of this league. But at the end of the day, we're competing for national championships, and we're where we're at. You're putting all your cards in, and that's what we had to do. We made some big moves.
We are now getting set for the final third of the regular season. You're first in the division, you're first in the league as we're having this conversation. What, in your mind, Steve, are going to be some of the ultimate keys for this team to keep the momentum going in their favor down the stretch of the regular season and into the postseason?
Well, right now it's divisional. We have some non-conference games and whatnot, but it's going to be the divisional games. We have a big lead, but that disappears overnight. When you play a back-to-back with Kelowna that we have here in February, that lead, that's, I believe, 11 points, can be down to 9, down to 7. Just like that gap can close, and that's where we have to really make our focus here, is that we've been very good in our division all year. We got to continue that. It's the toughest division in the league, that we have to continue to make our hay and make our wins in our division.
Really enjoy getting a chance to get to know you this season, Steve. Congratulations to you and the guys for all of the success up to this point. Good luck down the stretch of the regular season.
Thank you. You can't do it without a great broadcaster.
That's it for another edition of the Cougar Close Up on Shaw TV. Make sure you join us next week as we continue to feature the Prince George Cougars and their march towards the postseason in 2016-17. For more information on the Prince George Cougars schedule, ticketing, roster, and more, make sure you visit the Cougars website at www.pgcougars.com.